Hi, my name is Justin, aka Ghost Reader, and today we're going to be talking about the Haitian Revolution. Actually, this is part one of a three-part parter. So throughout the week, I will be posting a total of 3 videos related to the Haitian Revolution. Mainly because it's really big, and as I started doing research on it, I realized I couldn't do it in one video. So you'll get 3 on this subject. So you can expect all those this week. So before we get into the Haitian Revolution, just want to let you know this is part of my Topics of Black History series. Basically, for the month of February, I will be releasing a video every day covering a topic in Black history. But before I get into the topic for today, I want to give a shout out to a Black booktuber. I'll be doing this in every video, so you can keep an eye out for that. Make sure you subscribe and check out their channels. And today's shout out goes to This Brown Girl Reads. She runs a blog. She's actually also close to 600 subscribers, so definitely go check out her channel. She does a lot of good reading, and this year she wants to read books from the Roaring 20s written by Black authors. So shout out to her for that. Definitely go out, subscribe to her channel, check out on Instagram. I'll leave links to all that stuff down in the description box below. And today's topic was inspired by the short story New York Day Women, written by Edridge Danicat. In the story, which was in the book Great Stories by African American Writers, she talks about her Haitian mother who is going on an adventure in New York, and her following her as she goes through to see what her mother's up to. Edridge writes a lot of novels and short stories focusing on Haitian American experiences here in America, so definitely go check out some of her work if you're interested. Now, to understand the beginning of the Haitian Revolution, we have to go back to the 1600s when the French and Spanish were colonizing the island of Hispaniola. In 1697, the French officially created the colony of Saint-Domingue. Today, we know that colony as Haiti. Saint-Domingue eventually became France's most lucrative colony, exporting sugar, indigo, and coffee. However, this required a lot of slaves. And between the years of 1680 and 1776, the French imported 800,000 Africans from Africa to work in slave plantations. Now, these plantations, of course, the slaves were not working in great conditions, the worst of which were the sugar plantations, where slaves were maimed and had to work very long hours. And many of them, of course, died. However, it was just cheaper to buy new slaves, so there was really no effort to actually improve or have good conditions for slaves. However, with this, some slaves actually ended up gaining their freedom, and some went on to own property and even slaves. Actually, 1/3 of the property owned on the island was owned by free people of color, and 1/4 of the slaves. So this created 5 groups on the island. So you had your planters, who were the rich property owners on the island, who had the political rights. Then you had the Petit Blancs, who were kind of like occupational whites, so they worked as tradesmen. You had your free blacks of color, some of which owned property. You had your, of course, enslaved peoples, black people, and you also had maroons, who were people who escaped off into the mountains and lived as free in those communities. Now, because free people of color had property and money, many whites who immigrated to the island who were poor actually found it advantageous to marry into these families because they had wealth. So with the growth of the mulatto population and free black population, whites on the island began to pass laws to kind of restrict them. So they couldn't hold public office, they couldn't go out after 9, they couldn't go to France, and there were punishments for doing things like this. So you could be imprisoned, you could be fined, and in some cases you could even lose a limb. So this was where the island was at when in 1788 the French Revolution began and began to propagate the rights of man, which basically said that all men were equal. And on the island, they actually gave rights to people who were property owners. Now, this caused a problem because the Petit Blancs, who did not own property, could not vote. However, technically, free people of color could because they did own property. And of course, there was pushback against this, and then things simply just got crazy. The Petit Blancs basically rose up and basically began causing trouble, sending the French mainland to send French troops to the island in order to keep things in order. And there were people on the island who thought that the colony of Saint-Domingue should have more autonomy than they did at the present. And so when France did give them some leeway, they actually began to take it a bit further, splitting the island between those who thought they should be beholden to the French mainland and those who thought they should go their own way closer towards independence. With all this tension on the island, the Oge Rebellion occurred. The Oge Rebellion was led by Zach Vincent Oge, and his plan was to bring together free blacks and mulattoes to fight against white supremacy on the island. However, in 1791, he was captured and executed. However, that wasn't the end, because later in 1791, April 1791, slaves rose up on the island in rebellion. However, many of them were disarmed and sent back to their plantations. In the South, the slaves refused to stand down, and basically they were demanding not freedom at this point, but basically no more use of the whip, the leaders of the rebellion to go free, and for them to have more free days off from working. Mulattoes also on the island began to assert their political rights and began to agitate to actually have them, not just on paper, but actually in practice. Slaves began to go even further as long as whites began to hold out against their demands and actually began to move more towards emancipation. With this goal in mind, in August 1791, slaves got together, boys came in, and when the voodoo ceremony made a pact that they would fight for their own emancipation, and thus began the Haitian Revolution. So that is the beginnings of the Haitian Revolution. Like I said, there's a lot going on here in this period. There's a lot of nuance that I just couldn't add just for the brevity of this video. So I definitely encourage you all to go and find actual sources on the Haitian Revolution and to read about it for yourselves. I'll be placing links to some resources I use for this video down below. So yeah, that's it for this first part of this video, the Haitian Revolution. Let me know how I did down in the comment section below. If you want to see more videos from me, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at GhostReads28, on Instagram at Justin the Ghost Reader, and on Goodreads. The link to that is down in the description box below. So as always, keep reading.